How to make beautiful acrylic cake toppers for your event using Cricut. Hi guys, welcome back to Bride Society. My name's Rebecca and today I have got a new Cricut tutorial for you. We have plenty of choice on our dedicated Cricut playlist for you, so if you want some other ideas, do head on over there as well. So today I'm showing you how to make this, which is made onto an acrylic base. There's obviously several steps here where we are actually painting the back as well. So it's using vinyl and paint to create this look. I'm going to take you through step by step. So if you are an absolute beginner, please don't worry, I have got you. Here's what you'll need. This is the design we're going to make together today, and I'm going to show you step by step how to do it. There are quite a few steps and different techniques going on, so if you're just looking for something specific, do check out the description box below because I'll itemize the different steps with the corresponding timestamps in there, so you can jump ahead if you're looking for specific parts or tips on certain things. But otherwise, stay with me and I'll walk you through the whole thing. So I've started this design off with this hexagon in the background because my acrylic cake topper is a hexagon shape and it's this size. So whilst you're not ultimately going to cut this out, it's really useful just to create it as a background so you can size everything else and really get the idea of how things are going to look at the end. So to do that, you're going to want to come over to the left-hand pane over here and come up to where it says shapes. So as you can see, there are some free shapes and then there are some that are included with the Cricut Access subscription. I don't subscribe, and for the hexagon shape you don't need to. It is a free shape. Obviously, like if you're working with a circular cake topper, there's one of those right here as well. So go ahead and select the hexagon or circle as appropriate. And as you can see, it drops in this dark grey colour, and in this case it's 2 inches. My cake topper is about 3.85 inches wide. So I'm just going to change that by coming up to here at the top where it says size, and I'm going to type in the width column 3.85, hit enter. And as you can see, it automatically adjusts it and it holds the ratios of width and height. This little padlock, if you're wondering, this is so you can unlock that and then adjust the sizing and it will change the ratios in relation to one another. But if you need it to stay fixed, you can just pop that padlock back on. You can also obviously use any of these 4 square corners to drag and resize also. I am just going to quickly change the colour here to match mine. I'm going to paint the back of my design in pink. So to help me visualise, I'm going to change that to pink. So I just came up to the top there, selected the colours. If your colour's not there, you can just come down to advanced, hit the plus sign and pick a colour that's close to what you're going to go for. Okay, that is something we're going to use as we go through each of the colours of vinyls as well, because ultimately at the end, Cricut automatically sorts your letters and all your vinyls and things onto different mats dependent on its colour. So make sure on here that you have everything in the same colour that you want to be cut out of the same vinyl. So if you want, as I have got, these words here, the one where, and then gets wed, I want all of those to be in the same colour, white. So that's going to then end up on the same mat when it comes to the cut, but a different mat from the name, which I want in a kind of silver colour. Okay. Anyway, the next thing I'm going to do is add my ring shape. You can upload whatever image it is you want on there. It doesn't have to be this ring shape. To do that, you just come over to upload and then just drop in the shape. It will drop it in like that. and you may need to resize just as we did before up at the top here. You can now click and drag that around. It really doesn't matter where you position it right now because we're not going to cut it in a particular spot. It's just, again, to help you visualize the size and how you want everything when it comes together at the end. Then we're going to move on to the text. So I'm going to do the smaller text first. Come over to where it says text on the left-hand pane, hit that. It will drop your text box in, and then just simply type in the text that you want. And I'm going to have mine over 2 lines, so I'm just going to hit enter there to space it. So this is the font up here that I'm using. If you don't want to use that one, that's fine. You just hit this drop down, and it usually starts off by bringing you over to the Cricut options on the left. So if you subscribe to Access, all these will be available to you, or you can pay for the font and download it. I'm just picking one that's in my system, which was this one here, but obviously just scroll through and try different ones, see what you like. Okay, I obviously need to resize this. So what did I choose over here? 1.57. Okay, so I'm going to come up here to the width, type in 1.57, hit enter, and as you can see, it has resized it for me there. And now I can drag it and drop it into roughly where I will want it to go. As before, I mentioned I'm going to want to do this out of a white vinyl. So I'm going to come up here, change it to white. So this is going to cut in the same vinyl as my ring at the back. The ring at the back is actually, I say it's at the back, it's literally on the back of my design. I'm going to stick it on and then paint over it and remove it. So this will all be done out of removable white vinyl. However, the name here that I'm going to put on is going to be done out of a permanent textured silver. So I'm just going to now do the gets wed. So same process. Next, we're going to do this final piece of text, which is the person's name. So again, same process, coming over to where it says text. It'll insert your text box. You double click, type over the name. It will remember the last font that you used, which is obviously not the one I'm wanting to use now. So if you want to change that font, again, you can just come up here to the top left, pick either by Cricut or what's on your system. I'm using one called Brittany Signature. So I'm going to go ahead and select that, but obviously you pick whatever it is that you need. Drag it up, and this time I'm just going to resize using this draggy function in the corner. I quite like to have it so that some of it kind of comes off the edge of my design. So ultimately we will lose anything that comes off the edges of that background, and we'll cut those away at the end. So just bear that in mind. Obviously anything that goes off the edge of that background won't fit into your final design. Then I'm just going to change the color. So I'm going to do this out of sort of a textured silver. The kind of grey is the closest I'm going to get to that right now. So, okay, because we want that on a different mat. If you want to add this extra flick on the end of the name, obviously that's not essential. You can totally just leave it like that and it will look really nice. So I have done this by going over onto Canva, and on some of their designs, they have this little extra flick to create this kind of continuous flowing text design. So I just isolated that and saved that as an individual image, and again, just like with the ring, I then uploaded it and dropped it in here. You just drag it over and try to line it up with the end letter of your name, like that. Okay. There is another step to this, so just bear with me. I'm going to get rid of this extra design now because I'm going to continue over here with it to show you, because we've caught up to where I got to. Okay. Let me drag this over here for you. Okay, I'm going to make this bigger. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. Okay. So As you can see here, there's currently a line, obviously, where I've connected the two items there. We don't want it to cut it that way, right? We want this to be a continuation and not two separate things. So to achieve that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the name, and then I'm also going to select the little flick. So I'm going to hold down my command key and select both. Okay, and quickly just going to group those up at the top right. But that's not enough, okay? They will now just move around as if they were one item. So to connect this and make it one continuous cut, come down to the bottom right where it says combine. Hit the drop down, and then you can either pick unite or weld. Weld will be permanent. If you decide you don't like it later down the line, you won't be able to undo this. You can temporarily undo it by hitting the undo button up here. But if you've hit save and come out of it and come back in on another day, that's it. You can't undo that. So unite is potentially a safer option. And as you can see there, it's now joined up and it's just one nice now continuous flick. Like that. So those are all our components. Just before you hit make it, we're just going to remove this hexagon at the back, because as I say, that's just representative of your acrylic cake topper, or whatever it is, the base that you're working to transfer on. That was just to help us visualize. So I'm just going to come over here. You can either just delete it, hit the delete key, or if you think you might want it back later, the easiest thing to do is come over to the right hand side where it says hexagon and it has it highlighted. You see the little eye icon? If you just click that, it'll hide it from view, and it also now won't show it up on the mats. Okay, so that's everything that will actually be cut. Okay, so now you're ready to come on up to that top right hand corner and hit make it. So as you can see here, as I mentioned earlier, it's sorted it onto two different mats based on their colour. So I'm cutting this out of a silver vinyl, I'm cutting this out of a white vinyl. So nice and handy. It automatically sorts it onto your mat to kind of make the best use of the space to try and reduce waste material. Obviously, you can now click on these and drag them around and drop them wherever you want, depending on what scraps you might be using or where you've just placed the vinyl onto your mat. You do have to place it within this red square. So I just like to give it a little tiny bit extra leeway when I do that. And obviously it's now condensed the text. It has kept that together and these together. It's not made it did look like it made it one weird sentence, but it's not. It is still separate. So this will nicely hold its spacing and be cut as one piece for you, as will these two words. Okay, so as a place wherever you want. You do not need to switch the mirror function on for this, because obviously this is symmetrical, so it wouldn't matter if this was flipped or not, and this is going on the front of the design anyway. You can come over and check the second mat. Again, you can move that down and away should you wish. Again, it's going on the front of your design, so you don't need that mirror function. So I'm going to come back to this mat. The other thing I should say you can do if you're trying to, again, save space, is grab the sort of spinny rotating icon and you can drag that round like so. So if you want to keep it nice and tight like this, you can do that. It doesn't matter what angle you've got it at, it will cut it at whatever angle you want it to. And then obviously once it's cut, you can turn the vinyl back around and it'll be the right way for you. So yeah, just if you can kind of get past that mental hurdle of it cutting the wrong way round, that will help immensely with scraps or trying to make the most out of your vinyl. So you do you, whatever works best, and then you'll come down to the bottom right hand corner to hit continue. Make sure your machine is connected. Okay, then we're going to set our base material, so the type of material you're cutting. For the first mat, I'm using premium vinyl, so this one here. If you don't already have it bookmarked as one of your favorites, simply come up to where it says browse all materials and you can search for it in there. So I'm going to go ahead and select that. And now it's ready for us to load in our fine point blade and prep our materials onto our mats. So we're going to load our blade into clamp B, so you just open it up, grab your blade, so it's the fine point one, so it's the one with the almost barely there point. Okay, and then we just pop it in the top here, close the clamp like so, and it just locks it into place. So grab your standard grip mat, cut your first piece of vinyl to size, and then stick it with the backing side face down onto your mat in the right spot. Load your mat into your machine under the little guides on either side, making sure that all the star wheels are evenly spaced out. Once you're ready, you can press the flashing arrow button and that will feed your mat into the machine. Once the machine's ready, you'll see Cricut logo on the top will start to flash, and you can just go ahead and press that. Once your cut is finished, the screen will tell you to unload your mat, and the arrow button on top of your machine will start to flash again, so you can press that to eject. Go ahead and remove the vinyl from your mat by flipping it over and peeling away. Grab your next piece of vinyl and cut that to size, again with the backing side face down. So I'm still using premium vinyl for my second cut, however it's textured metallic, so I'm just going to go and check if that comes up as a separate option, because it might require different pressure from the blade and it will adjust automatically. So let's have a little search. Okay, yeah. So I'm using premium vinyl and it's textured metallic, so I am going to select that. Obviously, again, you select as appropriate. If it's your vinyl's the same type as the last one you used, just in a different color, you don't need to make any changes at this point. You can just keep on going. But I'm going to select that and hit done. My machine will now automatically adapt the pressure to cut it appropriately. So go ahead and load it into the machine. Grab your weeding tool, which is this one with the little hook, and we're going to simply remove all the negative space from our design. So that's everything you don't want to ultimately be transferred onto your project. Once you've fully weeded your designs, go ahead and grab your acrylic cake topper. So yours might look slightly different, but that's okay. And your transfer tape. So for now, we're just going to deal with the back of our cake topper. So your acrylic disc will pretty much undoubtedly have arrived with like a protective plastic sheet over the front and back sides. So if it looks a bit kind of cloudy right now, that's why. You need to remove these, but for now, I just want you to remove one side. So you just go ahead and peel that back. Okay, remember which side you've peeled off. Move that to one side for a second. Now grab whatever the design is you've got going on the back of your cake topper. In this case, the diamond ring and the transfer paper. So peel some of the sticky plastic away from its backing. If you have got the scraper tool, that's really useful at this point, just to smooth the plastic so that there's no air bubbles and things over the design, so it's nice and flat. And then smooth it over to make sure that the whole design is transferred. Once you think it's transferred, slowly peel that away from the backing carrier sheet here. Just go slowly to make sure it's all transferred, and if it hasn't, you can just simply replace and scrape down with that tool again. Now bring in your cake topper, again the side that you've peeled off, so there's no plastic on the side now. And we're going to position this onto here and transfer it. My top tip, keep this sticky side up. Grab your cake topper, and I say, right now, my side without plastic is on the top. Turn it over. So it's now on the bottom. This now helps you really visualize how it was on the computer screen, and because you can see through it, you can obviously see how it was on the computer screen. So that just helps you to stop having to flip everything around in your brain and make it much harder. So go ahead and line it up however you wish. It doesn't matter with some of the designs dropping off the edge, we had it like that on the screen too. Once you're happy with the positioning, flip it back over now, and then grab your scraper tool again if you have one, and go over the whole design again. Now just applying pressure to every little spot to make sure it has transferred onto the plastic. Once you feel pretty happy that that's probably transferred, again, do the same process as before. So peel this back slowly again, just so you can be sure that it's all transferred. And if you haven't, just simply press down and scrape some more. This is as far as we're going to go right now with transferring the vinyl, because I want to paint over this and then peel off this sticker effectively so that it becomes a transparent part of my design. By leaving the protective sheet on this side, it just means that any sort of paint that might get on the other side whilst you're doing that process doesn't then stick to the front. You can just peel it off with a protective sheet, so it just keeps it nice and fresh whilst you do that. So let's get painting. Grab your paintbrush and your paint of choice. I'm using this, it's an acrylic paint in champagne pink. So go ahead and start applying the paint to your design. I would say this usually takes about 2, maybe 3 coats of paint thinly spread over. Try to keep your paint strokes going in the same direction so that it stays nice and neat, because inevitably you'll still see that they are paint strokes through the other side. So you want it to look neat and tidy. Make sure you get the edges, and of course just leave it time to dry in between each coat of paint. So once your paint is fully dried, we can go ahead and remove this vinyl from the back. I ended up doing 3 coats of paint on mine, just because of how the light shines through. I prefer slightly thicker coverage. So don't worry about the paint that's currently on the front, because that's exactly why we left the protective film on this side, so we can get rid of that really easily. So we're going to remove this white from the back. So to do that, it's easiest if you grab your weeding tool again. Just go real slow and easy, just because there's sometimes a chance it will pull up other paint if you go too quickly. But this is also actually why having some overlap on the edges is useful, because it helps you get a start on pulling up the vinyl. So as you can see, it's just peeling away. The paint you can see through there is just what's on the other side that'll come off later. So go ahead and finish removing the rest of your vinyl. Once you've removed all your vinyls from the back, you can flip it over and peel away the protective sheet from this side, and then just go ahead and apply all the rest of your vinyl to the front, just in exactly the same way we did on the back. See, all your vinyl is in place and it's looking great. There's just one final step, and that is to remove any overhang that you might have on your design. You can do this with scissors. I'm going to use a craft knife. So simply flip it over if you're doing the same thing as me, and just score it along where the edge of your design is. And there you have it, you're all done. I hope you found that useful. If you did, if you could give the video a like and hit subscribe so you don't miss more content like this. We have a whole Cricut playlist dedicated to tutorials suitable for sort of weddings and events. So do check that out, and we'll see you next time.